The Second Amendment, arguably the most important amendment in American history. Even at this time, when we are nearly 2.5 centuries away from the birth of our nation, the Second Amendment is still more powerful to this day. However, there are people coming at us, there are people going ahead and they are restricting your rights. It's, there are people that are so called Republicans and saying that they are originalists, claiming that James Madison only went ahead and meant only gunpowder and bullets in that way. Well, they fail to see that rights do not change, technology does. If that's the case, then the First Amendment only applies to people that can write with quill and ink. But that is an illogical standpoint to these people, so they say. They say that this isn't necessarily what's supposed to be at. So let's talk about all of this. Why is the Second Amendment under attack? Why is it more important today than it is than ever? Why is it that our founding father, James Madison, went in ahead and he enshrined this amendment, as important as it is, for people to keep on backing? Well, these are multiple questions that the American people need answers to. Questions that we look at every single day, and we're wondering, why are our public officials going ahead and they are restricting our rights? Well, it's simple. They don't trust you. They don't trust the American people. The American people scare them. That's why they keep on dividing us even more each sitting president. Now, America was getting unified under Trump. That's true. However, Biden came in and ran as the great unifier, and what did he do? Well, all that he did, is divide. He divided the American people even further because a divided group makes it easier to go ahead and rule everyone. So, what do we have to do as the American people here? Do we need to go ahead and just let it happen? Or do we need to fight back? Do we need to go ahead and be in open arms with everything? Or can we just go ahead and say, hey, enough is enough, and start electing politicians that actually stand for the same values as us? That's the question that the American people are afraid to answer. That is the question that they do not understand, that they have to answer right now, or everything that they believe in will be gone. Now, this is just a simple fact. It may seem like it's not, but it is. We have to understand that where things are going, there's only one way to prevent everything from happening. The way things are going, within the next 10 years, the silent civil war that we've been in for the longest time will get violent if we don't go ahead and stop this. So, are we going to actually vote in politicians that actually stay up for the same morals that our founding fathers did when they built this great nation, to go ahead and say we need freedom? Or are we going to just go ahead and go like, hey, let's not do this anymore? Hello, Biggs BTW7. Welcome to the chat. All right, so let's get into this. All right, so let's go ahead and let's break down the Second Amendment as easy as someone that's in politics can understand. Because let's be honest, these people cannot read at a third grade level, which this was written in. So let's go ahead and break it down. All right. The Second Amendment. A well regulated militia. Now, what is a militia? A militia is you. It's you, the American people. You are a militia. As long as you regulate yourself by having weapons, you are automatically a militia. It's that simple. All right. Being necessary, to the security of a free state, it is important for you to have weapons to protect yourself and protect the freedoms of others. The right of the people to keep and bear arms. The right for you to go ahead and own such things as guns and artillery and bombs and grenades, all of that stuff, shall not be infringed. Well, shall not be infringed, which means do not make any laws or regulations against it. That's simple. All right? That's simple. Now, these politicians don't think that it is. All right? They do not. These politicians go ahead and they say that, hey, maybe we should go ahead and think about all this stuff, saying like, hey, maybe this doesn't actually mean this. Maybe James Madison actually meant this. Well, no, James Madison did not mean what you are thinking. James Madison's firm belief when he wrote the Second Amendment was that the American people should have the same weapons as the military. So, let's talk about the latest thing that has happened against the Second Amendment. This happened over the weekend, which went ahead and made me go like, you know what? We are going to be talking about it today. Your rights are being under attack even more, especially in New Mexico. So if you're in New Mexico, guess what? New Mexico governor went ahead and suspends the rights to carry firearms in Albuquerque, sparking a legal fight. They suspended the rights for you to keep and bear arms there. Right? The emergency order suspending the right to carry firearms in public around Albuquerque due to immediate court challenge from a gun rights group on Saturday, as legal scholars advocates said they expected. Then why the heck did you do this? It is a waste of taxpayer money. We expected this. Then if you expected it, then why? Why are you going ahead and saying we need to go ahead and do this? If you expect any challenge to stuff like this, especially when it comes to people's God-given rights, then you shouldn't. You shouldn't be doing it. Like, that's simple. So, the National Association of Gun Rights and Foster Haynes, a member who lives in Albuquerque, filed documents in U.S. District Court in New Mexico suing the governor and seeking an immediate block to the implementation of her order, which they should, which is exactly what they should. The governor, a Democrat, suspended it for 30 days. Enacted as an emergency public health measure. Would apply in most public areas, from city sidewalks to parks. Gee, well, know what that sounds like? 14 days to stop the spread. Don't worry, guys, it's only 30 days. Don't worry, guys, it's only 14 days. No, it isn't. They're just going to keep on doing it. They're going to keep on infringing upon your rights. They do not care. These politicians are power hungry. Now, this is someone that wants to be in public office, but I already told you guys, I am going to limit my powers so much that you're not even going to notice me there. That is how it is intended. She said the state police would be responsible for enforcing what amount civil violations and carry fines would be up to $5,000. They are suspending your rights. Going ahead this. And they're going to go ahead and they're going to fine you $5,000 for going ahead and carrying. This is only the beginning. So much more will happen, especially since there is something that I got here that's I honestly didn't know until I did a little bit of digging. So back back in 1992, the Department of Justice released a statement regarding the Second Amendment. So, and this is where it gets juicy. You know, it's bad when the federal government says that you do not have the right to protect yourself. The Second Amendment does not guarantee the right to own a gun. It does not guarantee, it says. When it does. This is the problem with our so-called congressional scholars saying that they do support the Second Amendment. But they go ahead and they say, however, you should not have one. You cannot be trusted. This has been going on for a while. And they do not want you to protect yourself. The Department of Justice. So, and it's right here. Here. I'll even put it in the chat for you guys. Look at yourself. The Department of Justice agrees that you're not allowed to protect yourself. Does that not make you think about what's going on here? Maybe we should go ahead and go like, hey, maybe we shouldn't be trusting these people that are literally in their 70s and 80s now running the country. It's not only just them. It's also the same people that say that, oh, I believe in it, but you don't. It's ridiculous. And here's the thing. The Second Amendment says shall not be infringed, but no amendment has had more regulations on it than the Second Amendment. Even though in black and white writing says shall not be infringed. And people are going like, oh, well, these are Oxford commas. No, they're not. They're not. They're literally listing them off. It's that simple. And just don't go ahead and say that, well, James Madison didn't know what he was talking about. Yes, he did. James Madison is brighter than basically every bulb in the box now in Congress and in the presidency. Think about that. Heck, we don't even have to think about it because it's true. We have so many people that are so old in Congress that they don't even know what they're doing. We have Nancy Pelosi going ahead that she says that she's running again at the age of 83. Does that not make you raise any questions? 83. She's running again and saying that, like, well, I have more work to do. What? More work to do what? Destroying the nation? Destroying it for more generations to come? Look, you guys say that you want to leave it better for the next generations of Americans, but this is the first time in our history that we are leaving it off worse because of these people. The sooner we realize this, the better. Look, I'm only 25 and I realize this. And we need to go ahead and say, hey, what's going on here? Maybe we need to look in the mirror and see, like, hey, maybe the reason why we're getting these people elected is because I am the one that keeps on doing this, and I keep on going like, hey, why is this happening? I better elect the same person then. I better elect for the person that has the same policy as the last one. That's literally what's happening. That's what's happening in Baltimore and in Chicago. Like, what? You elect the same people, you get the same stupid results. It's that simple. And the earlier we realize this, the better. But do I think that we're going to realize this as an American people anytime soon? Unfortunately, the answer is no. Now, I do think that this next lockdown that they're trying to push is a big wake-up call. But we need people to continue waking up and faster. They have to realize stuff. And like this goes for the Republicans too. Maybe we should look at our politicians, look at the people that are leading the ticket, just because you like the person. All right? Look, I like Trump. Sure. However, I think he's too old to run the presidency. Like, I think he's too old for the House. Simple. All right? So, and it's that simple. Maybe we should go ahead and look at people that aren't as old to hold these offices. But the American people won't learn. They refuse to. Not only that, it is the silent generation and the baby boomers that refuse to give up that power. They refuse to give it up. That's why we still see all of these older people going ahead and running these places and say, like, oh yeah, everything's going to be good, everything's going to be fine. Well, in all actuality, it isn't. We can go ahead and we can look at this stuff and go like, well, this is messed up, because it is. It's that simple. But let's keep on talking about these people where they don't know what they're talking about. We could make this an entire documentary easily. Speaking of which, if you guys want to, go ahead and tell me if you want me to go ahead and make a documentary on this, because I will. Because it is asinine that we are allowing these people to go ahead and do this. It's asinine. All right. Okay. What are so-called Second Amendment sanctuaries? Are they troubling attacks on gun safety laws across the country? What about your safe spaces? It's the same logistics. Same thing. This is a safe space. Well, this is a gun sanctuary. It's that simple. You guys want to have sanctuary cities for people that come here illegally. But if we have sanctuaries for people that want to have a gun, that is uncalled for. That is not allowed. In backlash to newly passed gun violence prevention laws, gun rights extremists in some localities across the country are declaring the state gun safety laws don't apply to their communities, calling themselves Second Amendment sanctuaries. Some localities are going so far as to pass resolutions declaring that they will refuse enforcement and dedicate tax funded resources to implementation of state gun safety measures. Gee, what does that make you think? I don't know about you, but kind of reminds me of the sanctuary cities. But if you do sanctuary Second Amendment basis, then that's just not right. You're not allowed to do that. That's the terrible thing. All right. Ready? The truth. These gun safety laws don't infringe on the Second Amendment. Are you sure about that? Are you sure about that? Now we say that these are gun safety laws. They're supposed to protect you and others. But in fact, they do the opposite. Such as your gun-free zones. That's a safety measure. Mind you, that's a safety measure. Where do most mass shootings happen in the States? Gun-free zones. It's that simple, folks. That simple. But how dare you? How dare you go ahead and think for yourself and tell people this? You're not allowed to think this way. Let's hear them out, though. According to these gun rights extremists, common sense gun safety laws infringe on their Second Amendment rights. Well, what do we call common sense? Teaching a kid how to make a gun safe when they're able to? Yeah, definitely. That's common sense. Have you defined common sense gun laws? But the truth is, the Second Amendment is not under threat. Yes, it is. It is. Every single law that you go ahead and make against the Second Amendment is a threat to it. And coordinated efforts to purposefully mislead the public or refuse to enforce public safety laws are dangerous. What if we talked about, I don't know, the jab this way? This is the same talking points, but in reverse that they use for the jab. Gun safety measures are being denounced by extreme gun rights advocates. Were passed by, what the heck? Extreme gun rights advocates were passed. This person doesn't know how to write. Were passed dramatically elected legislatures and were signed into laws by state governors, as recognized by the Supreme Court in D.C. versus Heller. State legislatures can pass common sense gun safety laws that do not interfere with the right of gun owners, but they do keep out of the hands of those who cannot and should not possess them. Makes you think, right, guys? Makes you think. Maybe we should go ahead and think about this. Maybe we should go ahead and be like, hey, maybe there is something going on here. Now, the thing is that this ruling, all right, when they said common sense, they did not mean the stuff that you guys are pushing in right now. I tell you what, okay, every single law that I can go ahead and look at, even in Maryland, their stupid 6 bullets per magazine or 8 bullets per magazine. Well, I can take that up to the Supreme Court and win easily. Every one of these laws that they go ahead and they push, I can go ahead and put it up to the Supreme Court easily. All right. Krabby Turtle says, what other amendment is restricted differently by each state? Well, nothing. Not one other amendment. Makes no sense. We should have national reciprocity. Yeah. Reciprocity. Sorry, I had a buying moment. It's reciprocity, he said. So, yeah, we should. Like, in all honesty. Yeah. Now, keep in mind, all right? Right? 1992, the DOJ said that you do not have the right to possess a gun yourself. It was in 1992. All right. Let's keep on going. State officials are calling out these bluffs, which are fueling fears and misunderstanding about gun safety laws. People, I swear. And Virginia Attorney General Mark Herring confirmed that many Second Amendment sanctuary resolutions being passed in counties and areas throughout Virginia have no legal effects, except they do. They do have legal effects, though. By doing these, they have legal effects. Because it's just how it was written. That's simple. The localities most follow gun violence prevention measures passed by Virginia General Assembly. New Mexico officials have a similar response. New Mexico's governor's office underscored that despite arguments by the gun lobby, the state's new gun safety laws do not infringe on New Mexicans' constitutional rights, except they do. This much we know. Law enforcement and local governments can't categorically refuse to enforce public safety laws based on an extremist ideology. Huh. So, guys, you want to know where these are popping up at? Maybe we should go there. Maybe we should go ahead and move in these sanctuaries, all right? Today, approximately 60% of U.S. counties, about 1,200 counties in 42 states, have passed resolutions themselves as Second Amendment sanctuaries. And this number continues to rise, which is reasoning for the resolutions vary. They are going in rural, suburban areas alike. States' jurisdictions that have declared themselves so-called Second Amendment sanctuaries include, ready guys, we're going to read these off. Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, California has some. Colorado, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Illinois, yeah. India, Kansas, Kentucky, Maine, Nevada, Indiana, Vermont, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Utah, Louisiana, Maryland, Michigan, Mississippi, Missouri, Nebraska, New Mexico, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, North Dakota, Oregon, Ohio, Rhode Island, Tennessee, Texas, Virginia, Wisconsin, Washington, and Wyoming. So, guys, it's bad for us to have a sanctuary where you can go ahead and protect yourself, but it's okay. It's fine. We 100% support it if you go ahead and say, like, yeah, yes, let's come in here, you illegals, come in here. We'll take care of you, except we're not going to. But you guys can come here, and you can make the crime rates go even higher. That's completely fine. Don't worry. It's completely fine. You guys can do it. Now, let's keep on talking about this. Yeah, they're going to keep on doing it. Okay. Now let's talk about a so-called Republican in Chicago that says the Second Amendment and only refers to muskets. That he's an originalist. Let's talk about that guy. Don't worry, guys. He's an originalist. He knows what he's talking about. Now, he may say that originalism isn't what it actually sounds like. Originalism only goes as far as going like, hey, maybe we'll go ahead and say, good for you. You can do it. So, let's talk about this. This is coming from the Chicago Tribune, everyone. Let's talk about this idiot. As a lifelong conservative, I am an originalist, holding the opinion that to properly interpret our founding fathers' document, we consider the historical context and to the full extent possible. The words and syntax precisely which the mindset the authors held when they authored it. I do not believe that the Constitution is a living document that allows perpetual reinterpretation to suit the whims of the time. If it needs tweaking, our founding fathers thought of that too, leading the amendment process. Ergo, per the Second Amendment, I firmly asserted that every American is guaranteed the right to own and breech-loading black powder flintlock armament of his or her choosing. No state, country, township, or village government has the legal power to abridge that right. Only an amendment to our Constitution can remove my blunderbuss from cold, dead hands. All right. Ready? Now we're going to. You thought that was ridiculous. Now we're going to get into something that's even more ridiculous with him. Is anything more hypocritical than the GOP and NRA insisting that James Madison, Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, and etc. intended the Constitution to be on autopilot, seamlessly and continuously evolving? That is an extremist, radical, far fringe leftist position. What? Neither Hillary Clinton, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, nor President Obama, even in their wildest college day liberal fantasies, ever espoused political views so revolutionary. Yet the GOP NRA stooges do so daily, insisting on their privilege to attribute to the Second Amendment whatever radical metamorphosis has justify their current gun lobbying bias. This is a so-called conservative originalist. They do not believe that the Constitution is a living document. They do not believe that. They do not believe any of this. They do not believe that you should be having the weapons that we have today. They do not trust you. They claim that James Madison, Thomas Jefferson, and George Washington, they could only picture guns that are muskets. Well, let's see here. right. Okay. But you want to know what they forget to mention? That over here, the puckle gun was there. See? The puckle gun. The puckle gun was the first, we can go ahead and say it was the first automatic gun. So, the vastly superior puckle gun fired 9 shots per minute and was the world's first machine gun. In 1717, it underwent trials at Woolwich but was rejected for government use. Let's see. Oh, did they have machine guns in 1776? Oh, yes, look at this. The puckle gun again. But the founding fathers aren't able to think of this stuff. They weren't going to be able to picture it. They weren't going to be able to picture the stuff that we had today. They thought it was going to be asinine if we had all that stuff. It's going to be dangerous. Could you believe that? Oh, these freaking liberals. Now let's go back to the so-called originalist. Doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. One could, were so inclined, make a case that the GOP NRA attempts to undermine the Second Amendment border on treason. But I will not do that. Obviously, such unwavering Christian family devoted community loving men like my Congressman Brendan Hunt Green are true patriots. All right, so goes ahead and he says all this, and then he goes ahead and goes, I'm going to go ahead and say this little paragraph right here. Okay. All right. All right. All right. Okay. Now, what do you guys think of that idiot? Let's hear it. Let's hear your comments on that guy. Let's all see him. Let's flood the comments about him. But while we're going ahead and doing that, let's actually see what James Madison's position on the Second Amendment was. You know, the person that wrote it. So, one of the driving forces behind the first major battles of the Revolution was because the British soldiers were coming to confiscate privately owned arms, including cannons and mortars, such as ones that were being held by veterans of the French and Indian Wars as war trophies. During the course of the Revolution, approximately 1,700 letters of marque were issued to privateers. In the War of 1812, President James Madison issued more than 500 letters of marque to privateers. These letters of the marque created what was essentially legal piracy, and it was sanctioned by the government and even deemed necessary. So, how did these privateers arm themselves? with cannons that they purchase as individuals. Huh. You mean James Madison basically said, fuck yeah, you can have cannons? Huh. It's like it's that simple. But we're going to hear people say that James Madison didn't think that we'd be able to have artillery. But there it is. There it is. We can actually quit. We'll do some digging later on. We'll do some digging after we get off here. And we'll find one of those letters where he goes ahead and says you can have cannons. All right. Yeah, in the war of 1812, James Madison said that. So let's even go ahead and hear all this stuff right here. True too. But James Madison and our founding fathers wouldn't be able to picture it. They're too stupid to do it. Give me a freaking break. All right. Now, let's see, what are the limitations of the Second Amendment? All right. This is from lawyers.com. Most U.S. citizens have a Second Amendment right to own and carry firearms, but that doesn't mean all gun control is unconstitutional. Majority of it is. 99.9% of it. Not all of it. The meaning of the scope of the Second Amendment have long been one of the most hotly contested constitutional issues in the United States. Shouldn't be. That simple. In 2008, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that the amendment protects rights of individuals to have and use guns for legal purposes. All right, let's go ahead. In 2022, the court extended this view, holding in New York State Rifle and Pistol Association v. Bruin that the Second Amendment protects a right to carry a handgun outside of one's home or business. But the court has also said that the Second Amendment right isn't unlimited. Now, that is where the court got it wrong. It isn't unlimited. Okay. Long-running argument over the Second Amendment largely stems from its language, especially at the beginning. As you guys know, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Now, a militia is a military force made up of civilians that the government can call up in an emergency. Guess what? This right here, that's all bullshit. That right there, that government can call up an emergency. That is not right. Sorry, it's not. For decades, many scholars and courts interpreted the amendment as only preserving states' authority to keep militias, which they are wrong. Which would mean that the right to have firearms was linked to militia service. But here's the thing. You are the militia. And you do not need to be called up by the government. There's an emergency. That's not an actual definition of the militia. The highlighted is right here. The hyperlink. That's the true definition of a militia. The highlighted bullshit is false. What is gun control constitution? It's not that simple. All right. You know what? There's so much that we got to do. This is going to become a series, guys. This is going to become a series. I want to be doing a series where I go ahead and I debunk all these leftist bullshit with the Second Amendment. It'll be a little video series with us over here at Politically Unhinged. So let's keep on talking about everything that's going on right now. Oh, so do the gun laws violate the Second Amendment? Yes, they do. That simple. Book open and closed. All right, so we're unfortunately actually going to start wrapping up here, in all honesty. All right. However, this will actually continue on as a series for you guys. We're going to go ahead and have this a series, and I'm going to break down each amendment and each section of the Constitution, because obviously the people that we elect into office can't do it themselves. They can't understand it. So we're going to make a little series for them so they can understand what's actually happening. We're going to treat them like the 3-year-olds that they are, because they can't understand it. So, all right. Now, this is from our founding father, James Madison. All right. Americans have the right and advantage of being armed, unlike, I think we've actually done this one, so let's go ahead and do a different one. The people shall not be deprived or abridged of their right to speak, to write, or to publish their sentiments, and the freedom of the press as one of the great bulwarks of liberty shall be what was that? Inviolable. All right, couldn't read that. The people shall not be deprived or abridged of their right to speak, the right to write, or to publish their sentiments, and the freedom of the press as one of the great bulwarks of liberty shall be inviolable. I'm having a Joe Biden moment every single time I'm trying to read this freaking quote. All right. Thank you guys, and God bless, and have a fantastic Sunday. Once again, God bless again.